Don't reduce yourself to other people's simplicity. Just because they act simple doesn't mean you have to act simple. Just because they're simple-minded or their perception is that reflects a lower level of intelligence doesn't mean that you have to conduct yourself that way to talk to them, to relate to them, or to make yourself more relatable to them. Most likely you probably shouldn't even be around them. And if you are around people like that, that's the perfect opportunity to welcome them into your world. Right knowledge corrects wrong behavior. So if you know their behavior is off, if it's tainted, if it's been warped or perverted, then that's when you bring right knowledge to restore order, to remove the perversions, to clean it up so it's not tainted anymore. I mean, it can be something as simple as words and the misperception of a word or what a word means. It can be the misperception of the meaning of certain traditions or certain so-called holidays, different things like that. Just because they view that a certain type of way, just because they perceive that to be the meaning behind a certain celebration, certain festivities, or certain words, certain places, certain things, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't correct them, or it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to impose correction, but you don't get messy along with them. Just because they're acting foolish or just because they're foolish doesn't mean you play along and be foolish with them. You don't alter your way of thinking or reduce your way of thinking or negate your perception for theirs. So if their perception is off, you make sure yours is on point. But you shouldn't lessen yourself for lesser thans. If anything, you should raise them up to your level if possible. But that's not something that you try to do. See, when you radiate your light, if they have the ability to receive that and absorb that, they'll take that light and they'll transform it and they'll grow. They'll benefit from that. They'll receive that light, and that light will nourish them. They'll receive nurturement. They'll receive nourishment from that light. See, oftentimes your thoughts, your ways, your actions, you can nurture others just by the way you think, just by the way you act, the way you conduct yourself. Because you're setting an example. You're being a model, a real model. You're not just talking it to talk it, but you talk it and you walk it. You may not even talk it that much because you spend so much time walking it. So that means that a person just has to observe how you move, and they can use you as a template for how to move better. But again, just because someone else's perception is off doesn't mean that you have to play stupid along with them, or that you have to play dumb along with them. Because if you know, then that means you know better. I mean, to be stupid is to know better but pretend that you don't. To be dumb is to just not know at all. If they're dumb, that's their innocence, in a sense. But that doesn't mean that you play dumb. That's the time to educate. That's the time to assist, to help someone get on a higher level, if they're willing, if they're ready, if they're able. See, oftentimes I see people entertain other people's illusions because it benefits them. They receive a profit from it. They make money off of other people's ignorance. They make money off of misleading people. So they don't care if your perception is on, off, doesn't matter to them, because they're still going to benefit. They're still going to leech off of you. They're still going to suck you dry. They're going to suck up all of your energy. They're going to suck up whatever it is that they're leeching you for. And then they'll be done with you. Or they'll just keep you around as a permanent food supply, permanent food source. So, either way, if you know better, you gotta go better. You gotta move better. So, if other people are delusional or lost in the illusion. You don't get lost with them. You don't act delusional along with them. If anything, you show them light. You give them balance, or you show them how to restore balance. Because ultimately, you can show a person, but it doesn't mean that they're going to do. You can lead them to, but to make them do, that's up to them. But to subject yourself to other people's ignorance and talk to them on their level of ignorance, that isn't always wise. If you're raising people up, you're speaking life, your vibration, the energy that you have, it will be evident. And you'll uplift them if they're willing to be uplifted. But just because they're dirty or they're comfortable with rolling around in the dirt doesn't mean that you have to roll around in the dirt with them. You don't have to get dirty with them to try and pull them out of the dirt. That's their choice if they want to stay dirty. If they want to be filthy, unclean. That's their choice. But to entertain other people's illusions, only thing you're doing is reinforcing the illusion that you're in. You're reinforcing the spell that you're bound to. Because that's what a lot of this is. It's spell reinforcement. Program reinforcement. A lot of things that people are practicing, that they're partaking in, they've been programmed to think that these are things that they're doing because it's about family, that it's about children. It's a time to honor their mothers or their fathers, a time to come together, a time to be thankful, a time to be merry, a time to be full of joy. Oftentimes the most cliche program response you hear is, it's all about family. It's about family. It's about the children. Your family has been programmed. These children have been programmed. They're under a spell. And as long as you partake in these things with them, that makes you a part of the illusion. And that means that you're spell struck as well. Now, the spell that you're under is the spell of freedom. See, you think you're free. You think that you're not under a spell. You think that you've broken the spell, but in actuality, that's just a deeper spell. It's like climbing out of one box only to land in another box. Climbing out of that box to only find yourself inside of another box. As opposed to eliminating the box altogether. That's what people do. They step out of one box and place themselves in another box instead of eliminating the box. You don't have to subject yourself to other people's ignorance. Regardless if it's family, regardless of who it is, they choose to be ignorant. That's your choice. You don't have to be ignorant along with them. How does watching others partake in ignorance bring you joy? That's not something that puts a smile on my face, or that would put a smile on my face. I don't want to sit around and watch people close to me, family, loved ones, indulge in self-annihilation, overindulge in ignorance, self-sabotage, watching them destroy themselves physically, mentally, spiritually. Watching them strengthen the spell and keep the illusion alive. That's not something that brings me joy. But like I said, some people, they feed off of that type of energy. They're vampires, energy vampires. They feed off of that. it does bring them joy. It does put a smile on their face, because they can sit up around you or sit up around these people and watch them conduct themselves on a lower level, and it makes them feel good about themselves, because they feel that they're conducting themselves on a higher level, that they're above the activities that these other people are partaking in. So then they develop like a condescending attitude, the way they're looking down at these people, or they get satisfaction from other people's misery. This takes the focus off of analyzing self, analyzing the flaws within yourself, and making corrections. So we take the attention off of self and put it on these other people and what they're doing. But we feel that we're ahead of the game because these other people that we're around, they aren't even close to that level that we're on currently. But like any other game, there's multiple levels to this game called life. So just because you're on level 5 don't mean you get content, you stay stuck on level 5. Just because you surround yourself around a bunch of level 2 people, so that makes you feel good about yourself. How about you take your level 5 ass and start mingling with some level 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 people, so you can step up your vibration, so you can continue to expand, to grow, to evolve. So a lot of times with people, like I said before, it's unknowing, and sometimes it's unknowingly that people are committing these different acts. Like I said, it's all a choice. But if you know better, you should be conducting yourself as such. Because if what you have is really of value, other people will come to you for it. They'll come to you. See, but when you take control, when you reclaim your mind, your natural mind, you think of natural ways to do things. You think of organic ways to do things. Natural ways to bond with your family, with your friends, with your loved ones. You think of organic ways to give thanks, to be happy, to be filled with joy, to honor your mothers, to honor your fathers. You're not relying on government sanctions or government approved or allotted times to do so. You create your own times, you create your own functions, and you all work around that as a family, as a unit. Because the first business is family business. So if the family is moving as a business, it's always family time. It's always a time for family. But oftentimes that's not the case. You have a bunch of individuals who are related to each other, and they're all moving in different directions. They're all building on to their individual lives. They're not congregating. It's not like they're aggregating any resources or anything that they have of value, or that they're taking what they're building and adding that on to what the other members are building. They're not moving as one unit. They're moving as a divided unit. And a lot of times they only come together to show off progress, to feel better about themselves, because what they're doing they feel is greater than what the others are doing, because they've accumulated what they call wealth, and the others may not have accumulated as much material wealth. So a lot of times people come together just to look down on each other, just to feel better about themselves and the situation that they're in, by seeing you or hearing about you being in a worse situation. And then sometimes it's just people being suckers for humanity, not being able to let go, the inability to detach. You still feel importance in these different things, that you have to gather and congregate with certain individuals. Even if they're partaking in pure ignorance and self-destruction, you still feel compelled to be around these people. You don't have to. Most of them are temporary anyway. And the purpose that they serve was a test. To test your attachment to humanity and your ability to detach. But when you get lost in the illusion, you become delusional. And you can't tell what's real and what's fake. You can't separate the fantasy from the illusion. Reality becomes lost. It becomes distant. You gotta focus. You gotta focus. Make sure that what you're doing it from the heart. Make sure that what you're doing is pure. If you sincerely are about your ascension and evolving, then you're going to always do right by you. You're going to put yourself first. You're going to make sure that you're doing right by yourself. You're not going to subject yourself to certain things. If you're on a higher vibrational frequency, you're not going to subject yourselves to those that are vibrating on a lower level. What would you gain from that? So you have to do right by yourself. You have to learn to put yourself first. You are the most valuable person in your life. The most valuable person in existence. You are the MVP. Conduct yourself as such. Move accordingly.